Hey everybody, what's up? It's Kevin Cal. I'm coming to you right after Monday Night Raw on July 20th in the year, unfortunately, 2020. What did you guys think of this week's Monday Night Raw? I'm with you live. Maybe you're getting me in your podcast ears as well. This will be a quick, fun podcast. We dig into instant reactions after this week's WWE Raw. A lot of people down on WWE following this week's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, where they tried a bunch of big ideas and kind of came up short on a bunch of big ideas. And big is a word I'll be using a lot today. The Big Show was featured in an unsanctioned match against Randy Orton, who's been feuding with for weeks. Randy Orton's been on a real tear, going back to his legend killer vibes of trying to destroy people, taking out Christian in an unsanctioned match, taking out Edge at the greatest match ever at Backlash, and Big Show kind of taking the flag to defend himself, only to fall short in this huge main event. Big Show looking really, really good. We don't get to see him in the ring that often, and when he is, everyone's like, oh, yeah, this is the largest athlete ever. Is he delivering on that billing? Well, he delivered on it tonight, but him losing a match, it isn't nearly as big a deal as it used to be. But I got to give it to Big Show. He looked physically really good, moved around the ring great. This is a guy who's had some hip work done. He's had a lot of different injuries. There was some doubt over about a year ago whether or not we would ever see the Big Show back in the ring. But in terms of a select attraction performer, he delivered something tonight. This guy's been busy doing episodes of a sitcom, a family sitcom on Netflix. So he wanted to get that edge back, and he got it back in there with the edgiest character, for lack of a better phrase. And Randy Orton tonight. Laura the Rock texting and say Raw was better than the pay-per-view. I don't think you're alone in that. Stephen Chambers, regular of the show, texting and say, what's up? What's up, Kev? What's up, WZ fans? That's right. If you're just watching this live, you guys can get your comments on screen with me live. If you're in the podcast, you're like, how does that work? Well, we do it on Facebook. So make sure you go to our Facebook page, you like it. And you also have to follow our page so you get the notifications on. It's kind of like that extra step thing they have with YouTube now too as well. Other people texting and Scott George saying Raw was awful. Hope they get rid of Bruce Pritchard very soon because Bruce Pritchard's running it. It's his fault. It's all Bruce Pritchard. I think they tried some stuff, guys, and it just didn't work. Raw was awful. Richie didn't like it at all. So this kind of instant reactions to different people here. AJ saying doesn't take much to top last night's pay-per-view. I overall I did enjoy most of this week's Raw, and I tend to focus on the things I like. If you focus on the stuff you don't like, then that's all you kind of focus on. And I also think WWE is weird. It's not like one linear story. It's kind of like more of a bunch of different things. So the stuff that did worked. And there's some things that didn't work tonight. But let's talk more about this pay-per-view. Let me guys know this pay-per-view from last night. We covered this in depth on a most recent episode of the podcast, and get that in the podcast feed now. If you don't subscribe already and you just watch the video version of the show, go get the podcast. We have exclusive interviews up there with FTR, Deonna Purrazzo, Eddie Edwards, the new Impact World Champion, and Trey Miguel. Lots of stuff for you guys to devour. Hours of free audio. Enough where you would think that we would have a Patreon for it, and we don't. It's all for free. So go subscribe, whatever podcast app you have. If you have Apple Podcasts, if you have Spotify, we're on there as well. You can stream the shows as well. So if you don't want to just watch a video, you can catch up there as well. More takes people texting in here saying Raw went by quick. For a 3-hour show, it did not feel long. I do feel that the pacing of it was pretty good. David Ekman saying that Raw was okay. It was more okay than last night. It was okay than last night. I don't know exactly what you're trying to say there, David. And Robert saying it was horrible. WWE is losing their touch. And this is Robert texting with a very creepy photo of him with like a big bunny mask on and a chainsaw. Thank you for terrifying me. You're the real horror show, Robert. And other people's James Espanto Fernando saying that Ariel Garcia, I'm hoping for New Japan since they bought Joshi. Yes, New Japan Pro Wrestling. They've been making some moves behind the scenes. We talked in depth on one of the more recent episodes. If you guys want to go check it out, New Japan Pro Wrestling having fans back at their shows during these COVID-19 times, huh? Doesn't that make everyone else jealous in wrestling? It has to. So Monday Night Raw this week. There was some stuff I didn't like. I kind of thought this whole Ruby Riott Peyton Royce situation kind of dragged on. They inserted Bianca Belair as Ruby Riott's pal. I'd love to see Liv Morgan come back. Don't know why we're not seeing her, right? And the EST of WWE has had her back, and that segment backstage was kind of clunky. And it wasn't on Bianca Belair. It just kind of ran on. Peyton Royce is kind of like, they could have done it. They did what they did in 3 or 4 minutes. They could have done it in like 90 seconds. That's just nitpicky, though. They had a solid match, though, in the ring. And Ruby Riott winning a match and then treating it like it was a big deal. And I think it's one of Ruby Riott's first big wins since she's been back on the main roster of WWE. We also had tag team action. Street Profits won. Nothing super fantastic about this match against Andrade and Angel Garza, but a solid showing that Angel Garza and Andrade can be something special. They can be a special team. And for a while, they didn't feel special. They just felt like people that lost all the baby faces. So there's something there. Some upward trajectory. I also enjoyed the debut of a new faction, the Hurt Business. We've seen Bobby Lashley with MVP at his side now for a couple of months, and they've settled into a lane. And now they have Shelton Benjamin with them. They spoke backstage to R-Truth, and they said, R-Truth, why don't you come out to the ring with us? We want the 24/7 champion out at the ring with us tonight. And he said, I don't want to do that. And he did his goofy lines. He had a frying pan because he didn't trust them at all. Insert in Shelton Benjamin, who blasts R-Truth and becomes the 24/7 champion. I like this. They're a new faction. They're the Hurt Business, but we got to hotshot it. Immediately, they got to get into it. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, and MVP calls them kids, and they say, you're making references from 2006. And that was a pretty funny line. And this prompts Ali to come back. I thought this was an interesting move. There's been a lot of assumptions online, no confirmations that Ali was the hacker character who was revealing different things backstage in WWE on SmackDown, but we haven't seen him for a long time on SmackDown. Here is Ali inserted in the 6-man tag match. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a great match. What did you guys think of the 6-man tag match? What did you think of Ali appearing on the show? Texting in here, do you feel they are overdoing the taping of the special matches? I feel like they are losing the luster with the Boneyard match. I guess you're referencing the cinematic matches there, AJ. To a little bit of a degree, but I do think there's this demand with WWE and even on the same case with AEW to make your special events on your network, on your paywall, an attraction. And how do you create an attraction when you can't really you can only recreate some of the feeling of a crowd being there? I think we're all under the consensus that we do want people cheering around a ring. It's not the same thing. And there's even some people that don't think it's the same thing. So I think the psychology drove them to try these different things. And some of them have turned out really good. Some of them have turned out okay. And some of them just haven't been that great. But I don't think I've seen anything that's flat out bad. Specifically, the Velveteen Dream Adam Cole backlot brawl match, it aesthetically looked really cool. It was just a hardcore match with the ring outside. It didn't feel and embrace the aesthetic beyond a certain point. Boneyard match is obviously the coolest one that I think people talk about. It's definitely the best match for The Undertaker in the past few years. It was very compelling. AJ Styles was very compelling in that. He really played his role well. The accessories of Anderson and Gallows, no longer in WWE, they were helpful. It was special. The Swamp fight, I didn't hate. I think it did a great favor more for Bray Wyatt than it did for Braun. I think Braun tried to play the part as well as he could. It did feel vague at the end. You know, you choke somebody out in a lake. Well, who wins? Is it just the guy who walks out of the lake? Was it really a match? Was it just a fight? It's vague. There needs to be at least a little bit more clarity on it. And I think that's probably the reason why maybe some people got upset about that. Once again, I went in depth on our post show. That podcast is up today already. You guys can check that out or watch it here on Facebook if you want as well. More takes on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Other people chiming in here. Elliot Jemison bringing this up. Yeah, in-ring segment between a very desperate Dolph Ziggler. Feels he is owed an opportunity once again, even though Drew McIntyre defeated him in the ring in an Extreme Rules, but only for Dolph match. It was kind of, I would say, convoluted in that on Sunday, and it seemed odd that Dolph would be able to get himself another title shot. But he put something out there, and Drew took the bait, and that was, you get to pick the stipulation. And Drew said, I'm not going to tell you until we get to the match, just like you did with me. So I thought there was something there. Elliot Jemison wants to know what stipulation do I think Drew will pick? I don't see it being something super environmental, like a cage match or something like that. Though that would be kind of cool. There could be something maybe where Drew says your career is on the line, or you never get to challenge for a title if I beat you, that type of thing. I think there'll be some type of stake put on it. That's kind of the way I see things going. Because the Extreme Rules thing was designed to give implied psychology to the match, and it added a little bit to it, but it didn't add more than it needed to. I really think them just having a singles match would have been just as compelling, if not more engaging. Robert texting in here about Ali. How about the return of Ali? Like that pairing of all three, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Yes, they were in that match. Ali winning the match with his big 450 splash on MVP, which was pretty impressive. A big debut for him on Monday Night Raw. I think he is a character that is fresh. He is a babyface that I think people can get behind, and he cuts convincing, real promos about wanting to do the right thing. And I think in this day and age, you need a character like that who is believable as a hero. It's hard to get heroes that people believe in nowadays. And I think that's a character that WWE definitely needs. Herman says, wish MVP named them the Beatdown Clan. Yes, Beatdown Clan was the name of his group in Impact Wrestling. They are, we believe, called Hurt Business, which I don't think is a bad name. They actually think that's a pretty cool name that could grow on people here. John Camac saying, did WWE give up on the Hacker storyline? Did they end the Hacker storyline? This is John Camac thing. I don't know, John. I mean, you see this in wrestling. You saw this in WCW. Probably we've seen it in AEW at least once or twice now, where a storyline kind of starts and it doesn't really get fulfilled. And that was kind of more of an overarching storyline. It was more of a device used to, turn things, like it did with the Otis Mandy love scenario, where it was revealed, Sonya Deville was trying to keep them from going on a date. And almost like he was hacking into all those different things. It is a character that it hasn't been revealed yet that they could reveal later on and do with somebody else. The fact that they didn't reveal it actually means they could bring it up again whenever they want, which I think makes it a little bit more fluid. What's to stop them from doing that? Who knows? I don't think they've ended officially. I mean, obviously, if we don't see it for a while, maybe it's gone for good. Other people texting in here following tonight's Monday Night Raw. Terrell Diggs wants to know, do you think we will see Edge return at SummerSlam or Royal Rumble? Well, he has a torn tricep following Backlash last month, and that's a pretty serious injury. The healing time of that is pretty serious. This is also a guy who's not going to wrestle a whole lot with his neck surgery. Part of his deal with coming back with WWE was to have limited matches throughout the year. Obviously, everything is super limited now. And I would say we don't see him at least until the Royal Rumble. At least until the Royal Rumble, especially with a torn tricep. That is not an easy angle at all. All right, so continue to tell us what you guys think of the show. Go ahead and text in with your takes on Monday Night Raw. What you guys thought of it here. Other highlights on Monday Night Raw, the women's match. We saw Kairi Sane take on Bayley, and Sasha Banks coming out there with the heels on, so she was going to be in action, or at least getting physical. They did have all the belts. Now, a very confusing situation. The Extreme Rules pay-per-view was Bayley putting on a referee's shirt, after Asuka, with her poison and green mist, misfired and shot the referee. And then Sasha takes advantage of this big distraction and uses the blast Asuka, and Bayley pins the three, claiming then that Sasha and Bayley have the women's tag team titles, the Raw women's title, and now they have the SmackDown women's title. And we're going to have this match between Bayley and Kairi. Do the brand definitions even matter? I really enjoyed this match. The word going around is that Kairi is on her way out of WWE. But if that's true, then why did Kairi Sane win a match tonight? And won one hell of a match on a really cool finish. Going for that belly to Bayley into a big roll-up, and Kairi Sane wins. She's so sprightly and strong. Her physicality, I think, matters so much more because of her smaller size of the people that she's in the ring with. She's so crisp in her delivery. The right partner with her, like Bayley, was so much special. I know a lot of people were very angry when Kairi Sane was in the ring with Nia Jax a few months ago, a handful of times, but this looked absolutely great. Herman saying, is this her last night on Raw? We don't know. We've heard that she's heading back to Japan, and that this would wrap up her deal with WWE, but I don't understand why then you would have her win. So it's not exactly clear now, or at least there's some doubt as to whether or not Kairi Sane is done with WWE. Sean Armbruster texting in saying that he gives Raw a 6. Yeah, we do ask for the Raw 1 to 10, so go ahead and give us your 1 to 10 rating on this week's Monday Night Raw. If you're with us for the first time, we want to see where you guys are watching the show from and what you think of it. What do you think of Monday Night Raw tonight? What do you think of this little stream here? Where it's just me talking at you. No Robert tonight, just me going with you here. Some people saying that Kairi Sane has one more week and she's gone. Well, we don't know for sure. Overall, this was a good Raw. This was a very good Raw. It needed to be a good Raw after a pretty underwhelming pay-per-view on Sunday. I think they needed this show. And it was interesting that we got to see the Big Show and the Randy Orton, that payoff not on pay-per-view, but on TV, which is something that WWE is trying to do, is give you pay-per-view payoffs on television. Done it with NXT. They've done it with SmackDown in the past few months, trying to keep that audience where they can as patterns change. Maybe some people have lost a little bit of interest. But WWE had a bad pay-per-view. A good TV after it isn't a bad idea. Michael Covington gives it a 7 out of 10. Laura gives it a 7 here. A couple of people shooting in here with 5s. And other people with their different take here on everything going on in the world of wrestling. We want to know. If you're watching this on demand, you're not watching with this live, we still want your rating as well. Go ahead and give it down there. So what is my rating from Monday Night Raw? Here it is. 7.5. A really, really strong performance in the Big Show. Maybe one of his best matches in a long, long time carried the show. I enjoyed the surprise win of Kairi Sane. Sasha Banks selling it at ringside was pretty cool. And Mustafa Ali showed up on Monday Night Raw. Kind of a fresh take on different things. Storylines they have on the show are developing well outside of what we got on the pay-per-view. So we needed a good show, and I thought we got a good Raw. Matches you got to see Kairi Sane versus Bayley and Big Show versus Randy Orton. Those are the ones you got to seek out. Maybe just check out the clips on YouTube if you don't have the whole time to watch the whole thing. Thank you for watching this, though. Hope you enjoyed it. If you checked it out on YouTube, don't forget to like our channel and subscribe to it. Get those notifications on. You can do the same thing on our Facebook page as well. And check out the podcast. Look for that WZ Red and Black logo. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. We're on Apple. We're on all those different things. Thank you guys to all the different people that are checking out the show. If you spread the word about the show, that's really cool. I love saying your names. I love hearing your names. I love hearing about new people watching the show for the first time. And other people saying, what is this? John is giving it a 6. So some people disagreeing with me here. But he gives last night's pay-per-view a 3. Ooh, that's not a good rating. Go ahead and let us know what you guys think of what's going on in the world of wrestling. We want to engage. This is just supposed to be fun. Did you have fun? I hope you did. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, right? If you didn't like it, you don't have to say anything at all. Say nothing whatsoever. All right, we will be back tomorrow for another podcast in the day. We'll cover everything going on in the world of wrestling and much, much more. If you just want to listen to the shows on demand, the podcast is the way to go. Thank you guys so much for listening and supporting. And remember, when watching wrestling, enjoy wrestling.